Here we go, starting the broadcast on YouTube. So, all right, we are now live across YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and Instagram. So thank you again so much, everyone, for joining in. And give me 2 seconds here as I just set things up on the Facebook. But if you're joining right off the Facebook, aloha, welcome. This is going to be a short broadcast. I actually have to head out for hockey very soon. So I want to be able to give the opportunity for someone here who might be interested in signing up for the Patreon to do so really quick, and then we can do a reading for you. We're probably only gonna have time to do 2 readings, and usually we just pick someone right out of the chat. But if there's someone here who wants to jump the line, you know that you can sign up on Patreon real quick. Only takes about 3 minutes to be able to sign up, and that is how you get an on-air reading. And I just posted the pinned comment there, and I'll post a link there into my YouTube. But nonetheless, if you are here for a reading, thank you so much and welcome once again. My name is Brendan, aka Wolf, aka Wolf Shield, Mystic Spider-Man, Skull Babylon. And yeah, we've been doing these tarot readings for quite a while. And again, the intention here is for you to be able to receive a message from the universe. And we do like collective readings as a team. So if anybody here is just interested in a reading, we'll play it by feel. I still want to be able to get the information to find out who is interested in getting a reading. So for those of you tuning in on Instagram, go to my Instagram story and swipe up, and you can tune in real quick over on over on YouTube. And again, this is only gonna be a quick reading. So if you're tuned into this on Facebook and you would like to be able to get a reading, the way how we usually do this is by simply inviting people to share the broadcast, and then by dropping a 333 into the comments and letting us know that you're interested in getting a reading on air. And once we've got about like 10 people in the broadcast, then we'll choose someone out of the chat. And aloha, Crystalline, Morphic, and Archer, Deerland, and Hoku. Thank you so much for joining in. I'll keep an eye on as many chats as I can as we roll through this. Drop an 1111. Make sure that the sound is sounding okay, if you guys can hear me okay. And cool. All right, okay, so like I said, this is a quick broadcast. Like I didn't really let many people know that this broadcast was happening because I have to head out for hockey in the next little bit. If we have 10 people tuned in on air, then we can do a reading straight out of the chat. So if anybody is tuned into this on Facebook, then go ahead and share the broadcast with your friends. For those of you who would like a reading on air, again, if we have 10 people in the broadcast, then we can do one like straight out of the chat. I would like to be able to invite anybody here to be able to either sign up for the Patreon or increase their Patreon pledge to be able to get an on-air reading. So Morphic, aloha, Allison, aloha. So if either of you guys want to increase your Patreon pledge real quick, let me know. Allison, your donation is like outside of Patreon, but if you wanted to like increase that even just by like $1, that's cool. And again, when we do this, is about being able to help create support and value for the community, while also being able to help encourage people to check out the Patreon and add their support there as well. So if we can get one Patreon sign up during this broadcast, or one increase on the Patreon during this broadcast, then that's a mission accomplished. So aloha. For those of you tuning in on Instagram, go to my Instagram story and swipe up. Like the newest Instagram story, swipe up there. And if we got 10 people tuned in, then we'll do a reading straight out of the chat for somebody here, and I'll give you guys the rules on that. And basically, if you would like to get a reading right out of the chat, all you have to do is share the broadcast link and then drop a 333 in the comments just to let me know you're interested so I can gauge the numbers. And perfect. Sweet. Awesome. So aloha, Seb, Oracle, Dwight. Thank you again, everyone. So go ahead, guys. Jump over to YouTube if that works for you, and then you can join in on there as well. So I'm just checking on the Facebook and everything right now. Yeah, it looks like we don't have too many people tuned in on Facebook at the moment. If you happen to be on Facebook and you want to share this broadcast to a few groups, that is always super appreciated, because then it helps build the momentum. That's the thing with Facebook. Like if suddenly it just drops to like no viewers, then the momentum gets like lost, right? So like by creating the momentum, then it kind of becomes like exponential. So even if you're tuned in on my Facebook, or sorry, on my YouTube, if you guys can check out my Facebook and help share it to a few groups, that's always super appreciated. and I'll only be able to share it to a couple groups. So again, if we have 10 people tuned in live, then we can do a reading right out of the chat. So make sure that you share this broadcast. And again, if anybody here wants to be able to like jump the line for a reading, then the way how we do that is by either choosing you out of the chat, if that's what we're going with, or by that person signing up for the Patreon. Or if you're already signed up for the Patreon, you can increase your Patreon contribution by even just like a couple dollars, and that will get you the next reading on air. So if anybody here like wants to be able to increase their Patreon pledge by just a couple dollars, go ahead and let me know real quick. So again, like as we're doing these broadcasts, the intention, there's like providing value through doing these tarot readings, while also being able to help invite people to support the ongoing work that we're doing through the Paradigm Shift Central project and through the work that I'm doing as a conscious media creator as well. And I'm working on some really cool stuff right now. Working on like the new video for the global climate strike, which is like, that's been, yeah, like a pretty exciting video to be able to edit together. And that's going to be ready hopefully within the next few days. I'm aiming to get it done either by Wednesday or Thursday. So, all right. So how many people do we got tuned in right now? Let me just double check. We got about 4 people tuned in. Sweet. Okay, so we got about 4 people tuned in on YouTube, and we got a couple people tuned in on Instagram. Wink. And if anybody's tuned in on Facebook, go ahead and share this broadcast. So, all right, what do you guys want to do? You tell me. Should we just do a reading straight out of the chat, or does someone here want to sign up for the Patreon and we'll do a single reading for them, but again, also for the team? So you guys can fully decide. I'm okay with either or. And then if the next reading that we do, again, if we can get like, I don't know, we might only have time to do one reading actually, because I have to head out of here by about 10:30. So if we can get one person sign up for the Patreon or one person increasing the Patreon, then that is always super appreciated. And then again, that just helps increase the ongoing impact of what it is that we're creating here together. So just waiting for the feedback. What do you guys want to do? Should we do a reading by choosing someone out of the chat, or does someone here want to be able to either sign up for the Patreon for the first time or increase their Patreon pledge? So I'll post a link there for the Patreon again. And yeah, it doesn't look like too many people. It doesn't look like the Facebook feed really caught much of a wave. Like it's only one person tuned in there. So sometimes it catches a wave, sometimes it doesn't, but that's all right. So Allison, checking in with you, Allison. Because Allison, I know you were looking for a reading as well. And so yeah, so yeah, you can start off with a contribution. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so I think we'll just do one right out of the chat, and then if anybody wants to sign up for the Patreon later, that's totally cool, because I just want to honor the fact that like I have to leave soon. So, and then if someone wants to sign up for the Patreon later, that's totally cool with me as well. 1 second here, gotta grab these cards. All right, 1 second. Cool. Yeah, I have late night hockey tonight. Like my hockey game's at 11:30 tonight. So, okay. So if anybody here would like a reading out of the chat, just drop a 333 in the chat and then stand by for the next instructions. The instructions are simple. All you have to do is share this broadcast if you haven't already. And then from there, stand by for the next instructions that I'm going to give you. And again, just as context, when we do these broadcasts, like the way how I explain it to people, these aren't like fortune tellings. This is a way for you to be able to receive a message from the universe, and basically I help like serve as a conduit for that. I help serve as a messenger for that, and together we help hold space for it. Awesome. Caitlin, thank you so much for your comment. Caitlin just saying that she'll definitely check out the website after, and super stoked about what you do. You are such a light. Thank you, Caitlin. Awesome. All right, so we got about 4 people tuned in, 5 people tuned in on the Facebook. Okay, cool. So we're gonna do a reading right out of the chat, and again, for everybody here, all you have to do, these are the instructions. If you would like a reading on air, what we do is we choose someone out of the chat following these instructions. Share this broadcast with your friends, and then I'm going to tell you a number. And then the 5th person who enters this number into the chat is the person who we're going to choose to do a reading for. But again, as we do this, it's also a reading for anybody tuned in. It's a reading for the collective in that sense. So if you're tuned in, if you're here, this message is for you. That's the way we explain it. All right, so we got quite a few people. Morphig, Mariam, Dark Mouse, Sean B, Paul Richardson. Awesome. Great to see a few of our Patreon supporters already in here. And Joey as well. All right, so again, for everybody here, we'll do one reading. I might be able to squeeze in 2 readings. So we'll do 1 reading out of the chat. And then if anybody here wants to sign up for the Patreon real quick with a monthly micro contribution, get a super awesome light guardian crystal as a pay what you wish. And yeah, other cool perks. Or if anybody here wants to be able to increase their Patreon pledge, that is an option too. All right, so here's the number for you. For anybody here, enter this number into the chat, but be the 5th person to enter this number. So don't enter it in right away. So the number that I am going to give you, the number that I am going to give you is the number 222. So enter 222 into the chat right now, but don't hit enter right away. Wait a second, take a breath, and you want to be the 5th person to enter this. And this is across multiple chats. This is across Facebook, and this is across YouTube and Twitch as well. And I'll keep an eye on who the person is that we will choose. Morphic, thanks again for tuning in. Appreciate it. Whoa. Card just like shot out there. All right. So keep an eye open on this. See how many people we got. All right. I'll let you know once we got it. And you can only enter it in once. All right, okay. Technically, Morphic, technically you just got it. But Morphic, you decide. Morphic, because I wasn't exactly sure if you were going to go for a reading, but if you want to go for a reading, that's totally cool. Or you can volunteer your reading to someone else. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. Technically, it would be Morphic. Morphic, if you want to volunteer your reading, go ahead. Let me know, because technically you were the 5th person to enter into the chat. So Morphic, technically it's your call right now on who gets the next reading. Allison had asked earlier, though whatever makes sense for you, and no pressure either way. There's no right or wrong answer. So we'll let Morphic decide on who gets the reading here. Give it to Dark Mouse? Okay, cool. All right, okay, I'm totally cool with that. So Dark Mouse, thank you so much for joining. And that's interesting, Morphic, you're saying that Dark Mouse is a 5th, but he's clearly showing up as a 4th in mine. I wonder if the chat shows up differently for some people. Weird. Huh, interesting. Okay, either way, all right, so we're gonna do a quick reading. Yeah, and again, like for anybody who's like already signed up for the Patreon, and if you guys like want like another reading, just send me a message. Again, that can be like a single additional contribution, or again, you could always just increase your Patreon pledge by like $1 or something. Whatever works for you is totally cool with me. So just so for everybody here who's like gotten a reading from me by signing up for the Patreon, that doesn't mean you're like, you can always get another reading. Again, basically just send me a message and we can figure out what works for you. So cool. All right, so we're gonna do this next reading, and again, this broadcast we'll move through this as, I don't want to say quick, but if we can get in 2 readings, that's perfect. So again, if anybody here wants to be able to sign up for the Patreon as we're doing this first reading for Dark Mouse, that is super appreciated, and that will help us reach our goal of at least 1 new Patreon sign up during this broadcast. And then I have to head out for hockey really quick. My game's oh, okay. Oh man, you know what? Okay. Allison, I totally didn't see that you actually just increase your pledge on Patreon by signing up for the Patreon. I think Allison probably had to jump out of the chat and do that. But you know what, Allison? Let's do this one for Dark Mouse. And then Allison, if you want to get a private reading from me, we can do that tomorrow if that works for you. So, because again, I'm not sure if Allison's in the chat right now, but I just don't want to like wait too long. So Dark Mouse, let's get right into this reading for you. And thank you, Morphic, for sharing that. And thank you, Allison, as well. I'm just going to update the on-screen info here. All right, so we're working towards our goal of 150. And again, if anybody here wants a reading on the side, Absolutely. That is always an option. And when you sign for the Patreon, you can get an on-air or private reading. All right, sweet. Okay. All right, so for everybody here, just inviting you to drop into your heart space. Again, this is an opportunity for the universe to be able to send us a message, for us to be able to receive additional insights, clarity, and inspiration. If this is your first time here, be sure to check out the links in the video. You can subscribe to me on YouTube at Skull Babylon, Mystic Spider-Man on Instagram, and check out the Patreon when you can. And we'll get right into this reading. So, whoops, as I was like shuffling the deck, half cards up, half card down. So for everybody here, Morphic, inviting everybody here to drop into the heart space. Awesome. Okay, yeah, there's a meteor shower happening right now. That's right. I was looking for it outside. Allison, thank you again for your support. Super appreciated. Love you. Allison is such a powerful anchor within our community. I was actually doing tarot readings at the party that she was hosting over the weekend. So thank you again, Allison. That was beautiful. All right. Okay, let's get right into this. Dark Mouse, if you're here, go ahead and just confirm in the chat. And for everybody here, just inviting you to take a couple breaths. Drop into that heart space of gratitude. Just feel yourself in this moment. Just allow yourself to sway, feeling yourself in the company of good people, like-hearted individuals, those of us who share a common vision of helping assist and accelerate the shift in consciousness through acts of creativity and compassion by leveling up as shifters and light guardians. Dark Mouse, when you are ready, I want you to bring yourself to the awareness of show me what I need to see. And then once you have taken a few breaths there, you're going to type the words now into the chat. And then from there, I'll split the deck. So go ahead, take a couple more breaths, and I'm just going to charge the deck with a little bit of flow tree magic. And it is through the magic of this night, it is through the magic of this light, that we will find the ways in which we will learn how to live right, by learning with balance in our own heart, by reminding ourselves that it is the magic that we start. And so now, as Dark Mouse drops in the chat, we shall see what wisdom the cards have. Sweet. All right. Charging it up with the Light Guardian Crystal. The first card that we have for tonight, and this may be the only card because again I have to head out in a minute, is Cups 8. So give me 2 seconds here as I open up the book to be able to read this one to you. Interesting one to see this. This is a card that's actually shown up a few times in the not too distant past. So I think this is definitely a relative card, especially with where we are right now in the seasons. So thank you again, everyone, for being here. A quick reminder, if we can get another Patreon sign up during this broadcast, go ahead and do that. It only takes about 3 minutes to sign up, and that's to support the ongoing work that I do as a conscious media creator to be able to provide awesome value for the community. And go ahead and take your times. And again, when you sign up there, you can also get discounts for the item shop, Light Guardian Crystal as a pay what you wish, and exclusive access to my 3-hour long 5-gram mushroom video, if that's what you're into. So, all right, so here's the card here. For those of you tuning in on Instagram, swipe up on my Instagram story. So for everybody here, this card is for you. If you're here, this message is for you. So looking at the image of this card, just explaining it literally, what do we have? So we've literally got 8 cups kind of floating in the air, and the front ones are kind of like in the midst. It's interesting. So you can see in the front ones, there's kind of like darker colors, and one of the cups is actually like broken. One of the cups is actually like spilt. That cup's kind of like sloshing around. You can kind of see. And then in the background, there's this huge river that just extends all the way into the horizon. It kind of gets lighter as it moves further down the river. So I'm going to read this card here. So again, if you are here, this card is for you. This message is for you. So thank you again, everyone, for holding space. And Dark Mouse, just go ahead and listen to this. This is, again, a message from the universe for you, for us, for the team. 8 of Cups. The image. 8 cups hover above the distance of a river landscape, and then empty themselves out into the vastness of the area. Meaning, in order to continue further development, it is necessary at times to let go of outmoded ideas. We have to separate ourselves from negative attachments that hinder our personal progress, even if the separation from a comfortable environment is difficult. With an eye to the future, we are required to make a decision, knowing the value of that which we are turning loose, yet not knowing the value of that which awaits us. I'm going to reread that. With an eye to the future, we are required to make a decision, knowing the value of that which we are turning loose, yet not knowing the value of that which awaits us. But it is not so much the external circumstances that demand our inner change. It is more our inner conviction that we present to outer things. Every phase of a deep revelation of the connections of inner and outer reality is preceded by the search for truth. This requires turning away from worldly events, as well as the questioning of one's own stand towards life, familiar view of the world. The best condition for bringing about inner change is a critically neutral observation of one's own being. Something can only be changed when it is recognized. A healthy contact with one's soul gives man a realistic picture of self. Only through internalization does man reach self-realization. In the essence of his own being, he recognizes the outer world within himself. Besides processing past experiences, a constant testing of inner motivation is needed for further development. Astrological significance: Moon, Saturn, semi-square aspects. Keywords: poverty consciousness, internalization, dark night of the soul, release of negative attachments, inner transformation, philosophical observation, further development, contemplation, self-realization. Traditional meaning: loneliness, grief, loss, negative thinking, farewell, separation, melancholy. All right, so we're going to get into reading this card here. So again, as we're reading this card here, if anybody in the meantime wants to get the next reading on air, go ahead and sign up for the Patreon. It only takes about 3 minutes to sign up, and we're going to get into this card, and then the next reading on air will be for the next person who signs up for the Patreon. And go ahead, take your time with that, and if you sign up later, you can always get a private reading, and when you sign up, you can get a beautiful Light Guardian crystal for a pay what you wish price. So this is a very, very interesting card to be able to receive right now. And like I said, like, this card has actually popped up while I was like doing the party like over the weekend, and I was doing tarot readings there. This card actually showed up twice. So there's a little bit of familiarity that I have in being able to communicate it, which is good. And so for you, Dark Mouse, for anybody here to be able to receive this card is a very important card that at times can really just put us into that place where we just really have to step back and ask ourselves, am I doing what my soul needs? Am I doing the things that are helping create the most important and healthy ecosystem for my being? What habits are in my life that I can change? What habits are holding me back? Where am I perhaps putting my energy that is not actually serving my highest good? Now, understandably, when it comes to any sort of lesson within this life, that in itself is the reason why we experience things, not just because whether it is good or bad, but because of the lesson that it provides. And so this card is a very powerful card that invites us to be able to look at our quote unquote like bad behavior or negative behavior, or even just our thought process. And the idea that like sometimes in order to be able to like get ahead, we have to move out of what's comfortable. And oftentimes, where does our comfortness reside? Oftentimes our comfortness resides in our vices. It resides in our laziness. It resides in our comforts. And this can again be something like related to, something as simple as like binge watching Netflix. It can be something related to like pornography. It can be something related to like substances. It can be something related to just like surrounding ourselves with people who aren't really fully serving us, but in itself is also still kind of like we're like eating off of it. We're almost kind of like this is a very important card, because again, this card is really encouraging us to become aware of where we are putting our energy and how it's up to us to be responsible in choosing how we want to change those patterns, how we want to be able to bring about a shift. Because the fact is that this card really reminds us that there is nothing within our external reality that will solve our problems until we solve our problems internally. And that in itself can be a little bit of a daunting thing, because it really brings in this very oftentimes heavy sense of responsibility. And that's why with this card, it really says, besides processing past experience, a constant testing of inner motivation is needed for further development. So even though this card is definitely saying like, hey, okay, you need to get motivated, it's time to get motivated, you need to like get your shit together. Like that's what this card is saying. This card is basically saying like you need to get your shift together. And this in itself is also saying that in order to really be able to get our shift together, it's not just going to come from like shaming ourselves. Shaming ourselves isn't like one way of how we can, it isn't a very effective way of how we change our habits. Instead, this card really encourages that we be able to like perceive our habits from a very neutral viewpoint, from a very kind of unbiased viewpoint. And so again, if your habits are something that maybe you're not entirely proud of them, but you just find yourself compulsively doing them anyways, then this is a very powerful card that reminds us that instead of just being like, oh man, like I hate that, instead it has to be something where like, instead of saying like, okay, I'm not proud of it, like I'm not like, I don't hate myself for this, but I'm not proud about it either. It's kind of finding that middle ground. And then in the process of neutralizing it, it allows it to kind of become like more of a malleable substance that can loosen its grip. Like oftentimes with our vices, if we try and shame ourselves like away from our vices, hey Rebecca, if we try and shame ourselves out of like our patterns in the past that have like not really been serving us, that won't effectively get rid of them. Like oftentimes it might sort of like push it away for a bit, but you will usually come back at some point. But at the same time, like just, it is powerful to actually be able to use like an element of like, now I have to try and like word this in a way that like I just want people to be able to like take this properly. But this is kind of coming from like insight that was taught to me by another coach. But basically it was them talking about the way of like how allowing yourself to become more aware of what you do and inviting yourself to actually be disgusted by what you do is actually a powerful thing. And now you can be disgusted by what you do without actually still shaming yourself, because being disgusted is less about like, oh my God, like I can't believe this is what I did in the past, and you're beating yourself up for the past, but it's more so creating like a new program where if you think about that thing in the future, you're just like, oh no, like, oh no thanks, like I don't want to do that, like that's disgusting, I don't want to do that. So a quick example with this would be something with like, say for example, you're trying to smoke cigarettes. Like this has actually happened with some people where like they have actually learned how to be able to like release the habit of smoking cigarettes simply in a process of just being able to change how they relate to them. Instead of being like, oh man, I really love them and I just like try not to do them as frequently. Instead, it's like they kind of like hypnotize themselves. They change their programming to the point where like when they like bring that cigarette to their lip, they're just like, oh, like this is disgusting. Like I don't want this. And then again, it just creates like this almost like physical like chain reaction that can kind of like help you in just being able to keep a little bit of distance between yourself and that vice. And so just be aware that like that is something that can serve you, but you don't want to get yourself into that place of like disgusted with too much shame at the same time. So again, it's really about being able to be responsible and at the same time like making sure that you're not just lying to yourself, that you're not just bullshitting yourself. And so again, like a key words in this is release from negative attachments. So you need to be able to ask yourself like, what are my negative attachments and how can I help release them? Do you want to release them? Are you ready to release them? Like that is a thing that's like kind of like interesting in itself, where it's just like you realize there's like a subconscious part of you that's like, no, I'm not ready to release them yet. And if that's the case, then like there may be something deeper there. But at the same time, what's actually going to give you more motivation and being actually able to have the willpower to make these choices, to be able to say like, yo, I have power over this. Like I have the ability to choose what's best for me, is the cultivation of everyday energy, is the cultivation of our everyday vitality. And so this is where, for example, like this card, this card is actually like very much indirectly, as an example, could be implying something such as like addiction to pornography or like regular ejaculation for those of us who are male. So for example, like if you're constantly just like addicted to pornography and you're constantly just like, yeah, you know, like I ejaculate like 4 or 5 days a week or something like that. You know, the way how you're going to be able to help change that habit is by having that initial motivation to be able to help work on your additional vitality, to be able to help give you the clarity in making that choice moving forward. So it's kind of that idea where it's like those first steps are going to be hard, but it gets easier. You know, it's kind of like there's like that meme from BoJack Horseman. It's like, oh, I thought you said this was going to be easier. It's like, oh, it's good. Like it's hard and you have to do it every day, but that's what eventually makes it easier. So just as a quick thing for like anybody here who's trying to release negative habits, it's hard to release negative habits purely within the mindset that the negative habits is like helping support in that ecosystem. So if you're trying to like kick something as simple as, not as simple as something like related to like addiction to pornography, or again, maybe it's like, you know, like smoking weed when you don't really need it, or maybe it's food, or maybe it's hanging around people who don't really fully serve your interests, or maybe it's like some other vice that is relative to you. The way how we get beyond that is by being able to bring attention to the things that are going to help be able to create balance and momentum towards the healthier sides of our life. Towards, again, where we release negative attachments, we also need to be able to create healthy attachments. So where can you create healthy attachments, right? The attachments in themselves aren't necessarily like what's wrong. It's what the attachment is to. So can you create a healthy attachment? For example, can you create a healthy attachment to eating good food, to exercising, to getting a good sleep, to dream journaling, to drinking more water, to cultivating your sexual energy, to spending time reading before bed, all of those things, to talking amongst other people who are going to support your journey. These little things are going to be able to help create healthy attachments, and that is what is going to help fuel your inner transformation. So again, this card is really, really calling us to contemplate and really asking us to kind of like call out our own bullshit, you know? So it's like this idea that, again, you know, like the idea where it specifically says here, it's not so much the external circumstances that demand our inner change. It is more our inner conviction that we present to the outer things. So it's kind of like one of those things where it's like you have to take full responsibility. You have to take full responsibility for your negative attachments. You have to contemplate. You have to become aware of them. You have to reflect, and you have to make that choice to be able to say, like, you know, like, what do I want for myself? What do I want for myself in a week from now? What do I want for myself in a month from now? And knowing that you can get there. And that's where, again, like this card, it's also kind of saying that, you know, it's kind of like moving out of the familiarity of our vice into the unfamiliarity of kind of, you know, choosing to do something that's a little bit different, but at the same time, knowing that that differentness, even though it won't be the same, will still be exciting. So this is about really being able to like fall in love with the excitement of the unknown, and by also being able to make sure that you like have targets for yourself, have goals for yourself, have those like have those aspirations that you are moving towards, and being able to like celebrating like the success that you're making, like celebrate the fact that you can even just like write things down, like start off with gratitude lists in the morning, start off with your goals, write them out in present tense, write that out in the morning. So for everybody here, I think that's the thing, is that we all go through this process of having to become self-aware of where we currently have negative attachments. And then at the same time, not just shaming those negative attachments, but observing them in a very neutral place and be able to think to ourselves, what is this teaching me? And this is where I'll just kind of wrap up this card. A big thing that I've said before is this idea that understand that your vices are the stones that you use to sharpen the sword of your will. So like that is such a powerful idea, because basically, again, it just kind of says that, you know, like the vices are the teachers. So where you feel yourself like kind of like consumed by your vices, that is also an opportunity for as you move through the transformation to be able to be like, whoa, like now I've proven that someone can overcome this because I've overcome this. Someone can prove that I can like transcend this because I have transcended this. And you've only been given what you're given because you are strong enough to carry it, because you're strong enough to transmute it. So like that is the thing. That is the thing. Like any of these vices that you have, they're not there by accident. They're actually there because you as a soul agreed to carry them. You agreed to carry them because you are here to transmute them. Not just because you are here to bask in them for the rest of your entire timeline, but because you are here to become conscious of them, to bring consciousness to them, to bring love to them, and to transmute them. So for you, Dark Mouse, I say this again with an inspirational message that whatever you're carrying that may be seen as like a negative attachment, to know that you have the conviction, it is up to you to be able to move forward with this inner transformation, but move forward knowing that you are fully capable of succeeding, that you have already succeeded. You have succeeded simply by being here, incarnated in this body, and by becoming aware of kind of like how these things in themselves are teachers. It shifts us out of poverty consciousness and moves us into like, prosperity consciousness in that sense. So again, celebrate what it is that you're moving towards. Celebrate the little things, celebrate the little choices. Give yourself that reward of knowing that you are transforming every single day, and allow yourself to be inspired by other people who are sharing in this similar journey. You are definitely not alone. Only through internalization does man reach self-realization. In the essence of his own being, he recognizes the outer world within himself. Besides processing past experiences, a constant testing of inner motivation is needed for further development. So see this is testing. This is testing your inner motivation, and you have this inner motivation. So for everybody here, let's move forward. Because again, that's what I was saying, kind of like we're moving up on kind of like the Halloween period. And like, this is a lot to do with kind of like seeing shadows rise and everything like that. So let's get ready to like move into November, and let's set that goal that by the end of like October, as we move into November, let's like really change our habits. Let's create new versions of ourselves. And as we release old habits, old like negative attachments, it creates room for like more love, more growth, more prosperity, more expansion into becoming more of who you are here to be. So that's what I have for that card. So for anybody here, and for Dark Mouse, go ahead, leave a comment in the chat. How does this resonate with you? That is the Eight of Cups. And yeah, drop an 1111 if this card resonates with you. And no shame in dropping an 1111 either. Like everybody, like I can drop an 1111 in here too, right? Like that's the thing. Like we all got this, right? But at the same time, it's about our attitude. Our attitude determines our altitude. So this card is, again, very, 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 very like inspirational card, as much as it is just kind of calling us on our bullshit. But that's what good spiritual friends do. Good spiritual friends call each other on their bullshit. Like seriously, like it would be stupid if we just kind of like fluff things up and we're just like, oh, this is awesome, this is good, and then we never address our negative attachments. Like that doesn't make sense. So this is being able to observe them, and then simply by observing them, then that gives us the will to be able to change them. So yeah, if anybody here wants to leave a comment about how this resonates with you, please feel free to do so in the chat. Thank you again, everyone, for joining in. If this is your first time here, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also like this video on YouTube if you haven't yet. For those of you on Facebook, you can tune in on YouTube by posting. I'm gonna link you into it in the comments. Sheila, good to see you again. Sheila, thank you so much. Awesome to see we got a few of our Patreon supporters already in here as well. So yeah, if Dark Mouse, if you want to add me on Instagram or whatever, I can send you the image for this card, and then you can read it afterwards as well. And if anybody else wants to get the image, they can send me a message for that as well. And Morphic, thank you again for helping pass this card over to Dark Mouse. And Dark Mouse, thank you so much for joining the broadcast that we have here tonight. So with that said, just moving things along real quick, we can do, I can squeeze in one more reading real quick, but again, that reading will be for the next person who signs up for the Patreon. So if anybody else is here, again, it only takes about 3 minutes to sign up for the Patreon. That's a monthly micro contribution. and that's to help support the ongoing work that I do as a conscious media creator for the community. Again, I'm a full-time conscious media creator, an award-winning filmmaker. I've been dedicating myself to helping accelerate the shift in consciousness by creating inspirational media such as free hugs, inspirational rally videos such as like the global climate strike rally that I'm working with, humor videos, flow tree videos, guided meditations. There's like 50 guided meditations on my channel that you can check out, and as well as like over like 1 million broadcasts that I have done. And when you sign up, you can also get one of the very beautiful Light Guardian crystals. And so for those of you who may be new, the Light Guardian crystals are again also available at questitemshop.com, and they are available for a sliding scale of $35 up to $100 depending on which one it is, and we do have the special Lumerian ones. But if you sign up for the Patreon, if you're just like, yo, I really want to get one of these, how much do they cost? Again, they cost as much as you wish to pay once you sign up for the Patreon for your first one. And then after that, you still get the 25% discount for items at the shop. So let's take a few minutes here, and if someone else wants to sign up for the Patreon, please let me know in the comments real quick, because I'll have to head out really, really soon. And so this may be, we'll see. Like, I don't even know for sure if we'll have enough if we have enough time to fully get into next reading, because I have to head out. Like, I have to head out in like 25 minutes, less than that. That's me pushing it a little bit. Aloha Shaggy McSwaggy tuning in on Twitch. Thanks so much for joining in. So again, shout out to everybody here. Morphic, thank you again for being one of our Patreon supporters. Anybody here who's also a Patreon supporter, go ahead and just leave some comments. Allison, thank you to our recent Patreon sign up there. And I know I saw Paul in here earlier. And I think, yeah, Sheila definitely, Sheila, so quick, just chit-chatting here. And, Abigail, if you're able to sign up really, really quickly, it only takes about 3 minutes to sign up. Please do so right away. And then I don't want to rush it, but we can still, yeah, as long as I'm out of the door by 10:02, then that's okay, because it only takes me a couple minutes to get dressed for hockey. But I have to head out for hockey. My game's at 11:30. But Abigail, if you want to sign up for the Patreon, please do that real quick. But even if you sign up later, I can always do a private reading. And thank you, Abigail. So, hey Jason, thanks for tuning in. So what I was just going to mention real quick, Sheila, one of our recent Patreon supporters, she actually purchased one of the full shifter booster kits. So that's going to give her like a lot of buttons. She's going to get a Lumerian Light Guardian crystal, which I'll show you. I'll show you one of the Lumerian ones. If I have, yeah, here's one. And she's also getting some of the shirts as well. So she's getting some like free hug shirts and some sacred geometry shirts. So she's going to be all geared up. I want to make one of those memes where it's like a shifter starter kit, and it'll be like, you know, just like the title with different images, and it'll be like buttons, Light Guardian crystal, t-shirt, and then like a backpack. Oh, and the free hug sign. And that's like your shifter. That's like what you need to be able to like be a shifter out on the street. So I'm excited again for Sheila to be able to get all geared up like that. Dark Mouse, thanks again for joining in. And I got enough time. Like, that's what I'm saying. If there's another Patreon sign up within the next couple minutes, then we can do like another reading. I don't want to say real quick, but we can do another reading. And thanks to you again, everyone, for joining in. For those of you who are here for the first time, again, when we do these readings, we do a reading for people right out of the chat, and I do these broadcasts fairly regularly. Right now, I don't have a proper schedule just because I'm working on some editing that I have to complete. But after that, if anybody wants to jump the line to be able to get a reading on air, that is available for people signing up to the Patreon. Because again, when we do these broadcasts, the objective is twofold: to be able to provide awesome value for the community through the inspiration that we create while doing these readings, and to be able to invite people to support on the Patreon. And again, like, so getting people to support on the Patreon, like, is my job, because again, like, as you sign up on the Patreon, like, that allows me to continue to invest more of myself into the project. And you can see my Patreon goal is 150. That's just like the next milestone, and then from there we'll just keep going up. And then again, that just allows me to do even more stuff for the community. Eventually, I want to be able to travel. Like, can you imagine me like traveling and like doing free hugs and like interviewing people and getting all sorts of like amazing content about the shift in consciousness, and doing like events in different cities where you guys are? So super, super exciting. So again, if anybody here is in the process of signing up for the Patreon, just go ahead and let me know real quick, and I'll hold off 1 minute for that, and we'll see. Like, yeah, if there's no one else signed up for the Patreon in the next little bit, then we'll have to wrap up this broadcast early. Because again, I have to head out for hockey in a minute. So, but thanks again, everyone. If everyone wants to leave a quick comment, where are you tuned in from? For anybody here, and for those of you on Instagram, go ahead and swipe up on my Instagram story if you wish. And thank you again, everyone. Appreciate that. And yeah, that last reading was pretty good. All right. What do you guys want to do? I'll let you guys decide. Should we do a super quick reading, or should we wait 1 more minute to see if someone's signing up for the Patreon? I'm not sure if Abigail was signing up. Oh, okay. Nina's in the process of signing up. Nina, thank you so much for signing up. And again, for anybody who signs up, if I have to head out the door, which like I said, I do, then know that I can do a reading for you privately. And like the one-on-one readings can go deeper, right? Like the one-on-one readings, like we chat and stuff like that. Over the weekend, I was doing readings at a party, and it was really good. Like, again, like every single one that I did, people were like, whoa, this is really powerful. Because again, it's not just me. Like, I help like work as a conduit, but again, it's like a message from the universe that is there for you. So not only do you get that to be able to help assist you and inspire you, but again, it's also to be able to help support each other. So you're supporting the community, you're supporting the work that we're doing. Again, we got some awesome videos coming your way. So yeah, okay, let's just do one more reading real quick. Super quick reading. And then for anybody signing up on the Patreon, then we can do a reading for you privately as well. So Nina, I'll keep an eye open for that when you're signed up for that. And thank you again, everyone. And a reminder, if you sign up at the $11 level, then you can get one of the the Lemurian Light Guardian crystals. And again, the Lemurian Light Guardian crystals, like those things by themselves are like worth between like $50 and $100. And like the Light Guardian crystals, the Lemurian ones, like these things are just going to get more and more rare. Like Lemurian crystals are becoming more and more rare in themselves. And again, those are all exclusive items. So, okay, real quick, okay, real quick, we're just gonna do a chat. We're gonna do a reading right out of the chat. Okay, so for everybody here, I'm gonna tell you a number, and the fourth person who enters this number into the chat will be the next person who we have pull a card for. And again, this is gonna be a quick reading, so just because I have to head out the door, but that's why we're gonna do it for someone out of the chat, at least that way, so we can still do one more. So for everybody here who wants a reading, be the fourth person enter this number. The number that you're going to enter into the chat is the number 444. So enter 444 into the chat. Don't hit enter right away. Wait a second. Take a breath. When you're ready, hit enter. And the fourth person who enters that number into the chat will be the next person who we do this reading for. And again, this will be like kind of like a mini reading. It'll be a quick reading, but hey, it'll still be something. And thank you again, everyone. And I'll keep an eye on that. So we'll keep an eye open for 444s as they're coming in for anybody here. Because I didn't really do like a survey. I'm like, hey, who wants a reading right in the chat? But I'll let you know if anybody's dropping in the 444s. And Morphic tuning in from New Jersey. Awesome. Thank you again, everyone. I'm broadcasting from London, Ontario, Canada, by the way. All right, I'll let you know if we see. Make sure that we got enough people tuned in. Thank you again, everyone, for tuning in, and wishing you an awesome Tuesday evening. Tuesday, tuning in's day. All right. Let's see. I'm waiting for the fourth 444. I thought this might happen. I'm not exactly sure how many people we have tuned in right now, so that's okay. But if somebody else wants to drop a 444, then right now we got 3 people who dropped 444 in. So the next person who drops it in will get it. And ideally I want to do it for like someone who's new. I'm sure you guys can understand. So, hey, Sovereign King, thanks for tuning in. For those of you tuning in on Instagram, you can swipe up on my Instagram story real quick. I'm not even sure if anybody's tuned in on Facebook right now. Yeah, I don't think anybody's tuned in on Facebook right now. They were there a second ago. And there's only 3 people on the YouTube chat. So, and you can only enter in the number once. You know what? Maybe this means that I should just head out to hockey. Yeah, no, that's pretty trippy. That's all right though. That's all right. All right, because Nina, if you're looking for a reading but you're signing up for the Patreon, it would make sense to like save the reading to do it when we do it. All right, okay. I'm just gonna pull a card straight out of here, just on my own intuition. So we'll just do one more reading real quick. This will be a super fast one. So just inviting everyone here to hold intention. Show us what we need to see. There we go. Yeah, I gotta make sure I'm not gonna be late for hockey. Oh no! Alright. Swords 5. We've had this one before, I swear. Alright. Alright, so we're just gonna read this one, and again, for anybody signing up on the Patreon, we'll keep an eye open for that. And again, I'm just gonna read this one like really quick. Aloha to those of you tuning in on Twitch. Thanks for joining. We're broadcasting on Facebook and YouTube at the same time. And yeah, thank you again everyone for being here. Alright, so real quick reading here. We got some swords. They're like in the sky and stuff. Hey Tina, thanks for joining in. This is a super quick reading. I have to go to hockey in a minute. So we got 3 swords pointing down, 2 swords pointing up, and then some like trees down below. They don't have any leaves on them, and then a bit of a horizon with some mountains in the background. Let's read into this real quick. 5 of Swords, the image. 5 swords pointing in different directions hover in front of a cloudless sky over a landscape bathed in surreal colors. Meaning, while the 4 of Swords indicated finding a path to inner truth, the 5 of Swords indicate obtaining wisdom. In the sense of further development and growth, it becomes unavoidable in certain developmental phase for the individual to fight for this wisdom under contrary circumstances. Sometimes the experience of pain and suffering is necessary. In the circle of life and death, everything follows its natural path. The intelligence of nature does not know good or bad. In the limitless reaches of the universe, nothing is lost, nor is there any overabundance. Life itself, as the formless one, is indestructible. Well, the diversity of outer forms is constantly subject to change. Thinking in greater dimensions, thinking in greater dimensions gives insight to the deeper connections of life and makes so many conflicts unnecessary that under certain circumstances could end in a painful experience. Here, the ability to obtain deep insights from the difficult situations can be developed. By putting together the quintessence of thoughts and experiences as well as the corresponding sequences, the meaning finally lies in the fertile evaluation of the obtained realization. Astrological significance, Mercury, Mars quintile aspects. Keywords: finding the quintessence, taking the consequences, constructively using realizations, gaining wisdom, concentrating on the importance. Traditional meaning: fighting, surrender, conflict, thought exchange, refusal. Okay. So, without having to get into this card super deep, because I do have to head out in a minute to go to hockey, but thanks for those of you tuning in, especially those of you on Twitch. Please feel free to follow, and you can follow me on YouTube at Skull Babylon too. So, yeah, see, it's interesting because this card is actually pretty relative to the previous card that we have with 8 of Cups, and I think it actually just expands on it, where, again, it's being able to understand that, like, sometimes the experience of pain and suffering is necessary. So in this card, it's really about being able to invite us to be able to like change the way that we see our circumstances, change the way of being able to see what it is that we are going through, but then creating constructive realization to be able to move forward with wisdom by changing the way that we look at the past, concentrating on the important. So when it comes to like lessons of the past, it's easy to just be like, oh no, like this sucked, this sucked, this sucked. But at the same time, this card is really reminding us that it's like, oh, like those moments where we felt like the universe might have been like kicking our butt were also opportunities where the universe was teaching us how to become stronger, was also moments where the universe was teaching us how to become more resilient. So this card is really about encouraging us to see the silver lining and to practice making that a regular common day thing. Like what happens if that is like just the way you see the world moving forward, where you look for the silver lining? You know, a lot of people will just be like, oh, that's, you know, naively optimistic. Or is that more just like mystically realistic, so to speak? Because the truth is that everything does have that quote unquote silver lining. Because again, I've said this before, but I'll say it again real quick. The universe is not just here to make you happy. It is here to evolve your consciousness. And that in itself is the reason why things will happen to us. It is the reason that will happen so that we can grow from it, so that we can become stronger, so that we can become more empathetic, so that we can become more resilient, so that we can become more flexible. Here, the ability to obtain deep insight from difficult situations can be developed by putting together the quintessence of thought and experiences as well as the corresponding consequences. The meaning finally lies in the fertile evaluation of the obtained realization. So this is about being able to like see the beauty of the fruits that are yielded through the suffering of our past, and to not just simply like see them as pointless, but to be able to make sure that within our story they're serving as a catalyst. So finding the quintessence, taking the consequences, constructively using realization, gaining wisdom, concentrating on the important. So that's all I can really get into just for this real quickly, because again, I have to head out to hockey in the next minute. But this is a very powerful card that just invites us to be able to like change the way that we see the world around us, change the way that we see the lessons that are coming into our path, to transmute the pain. Very, very good, Morphic. To transmute the pain is to acknowledge and accept pain as part of the growth and expansion of our collective and within ourselves, right? Like if you're not feeling any sort of discomfort, then that probably means that you're not necessarily growing. But again, at the same time, this is also about being able to like find ways to be able to invite healthy stress into our life as well. Once you realize that stress in itself is not always necessarily like the bad thing, it is our relationship to the stress that will oftentimes cause like the issues. So can you change that? Can you change the way that you relate to situations that may seem to be stressful, but in themselves are actually encouraging us to grow? So there we go, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. The broadcast is about to end on Instagram. Tina, thanks for tuning in. One of our Patreon supporters as well. We are here to evolve our consciousness. So much love and hugs to you. Thank you, Tina. And thank you again, Morphic. Thank you, Nina. Thank you, Natalia, for joining in on Facebook as well. And Modulate and anybody else who may be tuned in on the Twitch as well. Thank you to Allison, our newest Patreon sign up during this broadcast. And again, for anybody here, if you would like to be able to get a private reading, go ahead, sign up for the Patreon when you get a chance. Patreon.com/Brendan Culleton. Check out more. And if through there you can find links to the quest item shop, to ParadigmShiftCentral.com, to my YouTube channel if you're not already subscribed, and follow me on Instagram at Mystic Spider-Man. And with that said, I'm about to head out the door because I'm gonna go play some hockey. Yeah, my game's at 11:30 now. It's crazy, like the late night games with the new season just started. So all right, thank you again, everyone, so much for your support. And please feel free to send me a message at any point if you have any questions. And wishing you an awesome moment, awesome day. Thank you for keep leveling up. As always, keep it shifty, and I will see you in the future. Subscribe, and see you next time. Awesome. All right, I'll see you guys soon. Much love. Go team.